Hey, in this video, let's do something fun. Let's try to grab a model from zBrush and try to animate it in Maya. So for this example, because Halloween is right around the corner, maybe we can grab something like the skeleton and make him dance and see how that looks. And to make him dance, maybe we can grab a Mixamo file of an existing dancing move of some sort. All right, so to grab the skeleton in zBrush, what you want to do is go to Lightbox, and you want to go to Tools, and you can see in Tools, one of the options is this Ryan Kingsland character, so I'm just going to double click on it. Press comma on my keyboard. And this is what I see, which is really cool. And on the right, in the tools, you can see all these different subtools of pure insanity, right? A very precise humanoid model of all the stuff. But all I want, I'm gonna hold on the Shift key and just click on this eyeball. And all I want is just the skeleton. So what I'd like to do is take this guy and bring him into Maya for super quick rigging. All right, so maybe one thing we could do is modify him just a little bit. For example, in my case, I feel like I would love for this head to be a little larger, and maybe even the hands, just so it's a little more exaggerated. This seems like, I don't know why, to me, it seems like these are really huge and the head is tiny. So just for the sake of exercise, let's go ahead and turn on our polyframes, and maybe also I'm gonna do auto group, and this way I'm trying to see if I can isolate this skull just to simply make it larger. So to do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold on Control Shift and click on I'm going to click on these links to hide them. And the reason I want to do that is so I can hold on the Control key and just make a selection over just the top part of the skeleton. Now if I hold on Control Shift, I can bring back the rest of the neck. And essentially what I would like to do is, I'm not going to animate this, so I'm going to group this as one. I'm going to press Control W to make it into one group. All right, very nice. Now let's go ahead and just separate this head on its own layer. So I'm going to do Control Shift and click. Let's select it one more time. Do Control Shift and click again. And now I'm going to go down to Split and do Split Masked Point. And that's going to put the skull on its own layer. So now I can control it and maybe make it a little larger. Let's turn off the polyframe. Let's take a look. So what I would like to do is, let's just grab my scale. And my scale is currently down here. So I'm going to unlock it, or actually just press this button here. And let's go ahead and press X if you have your active symmetry on. I'm gonna unlock. What I need to do is put it in the center, which I just did. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scale this up. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So kind of a more of a cartoon kind of look. And let's do the same thing, and you can make it as large as you want. And next, I would like to do exactly the same thing to the hands. So let's go ahead and turn on all the joints, and let's see how we can isolate those as well. I'm going to press Control Shift and hide. Make make sure you're in the draw mode. Press Ctrl Shift and click to hide all of these guys here. Hold on the Control key to select both hands, and I do have active symmetry on. I'm gonna hold on Control Shift and bring it all back, and then go down to split and do split masks. All right, and this is gonna give me the hands in its own layer as well. That's what I want. Now I only want to scale them, and the easiest way for me to do this is probably scale 1 and just flip it to the other side. So to do that, I'm going to turn off my symmetry. I'm going to mask just one side, and once again split this into its own layer. Very nice. All right, now let's go ahead and just scale this guy. So go to scale, and let's go ahead and press this button here. Let's unlock it, and I'm gonna jump out of the perspective mode. Hold on the Shift to kind of snap. And what I would like to do is position my gizmo here right where the hand would be, so it stays connected. I'm gonna hold on I'm gonna start spinning this by left clicking, holding down the Shift to snap, and then I'm gonna do the same thing at this view. So you can see that my gizmo is perfectly centered toward where the connection is. Let's go ahead and lock this, and now let's just make this larger. And maybe move it into position if necessary. Yeah, so I kind of, this is what I wanted. I think, turn off the polyframe. I think it's a little spookier to have big hands and a big head. All right, so I'm happy with this on my end. I'm going to turn I'm going to select the other layer of the other hand, just kind of hide it, and let's go ahead and just flip this over so I can mirror it, and I can also let's go ahead and do mirror and weld, so then that gives us two of them. Very nice. And now I am ready to export this into Maya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and let's go ahead and bring this up. So essentially what I'm trying to do is just put the visible ones together so I can merge them. So I'm going to select the first one and just do a merge down. And I can see that I need to merge the head as well, so I'm going to merge that also. All right, so now I just have him all by himself. If we wanted to, we can reset, turn off the symmetry and reset the pivot. We don't have to, but we can. All right, and now let's just go ahead and export him straight into Maya. We could make the feet larger as well, but I think I'm happy with this. This is great. So I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to call mine skeleton, and just do a quick export on your end so you can quickly find your model, and I'll meet you in Maya. All right, so here I am in Maya. Once you do a file import and you bring your OBJ from ZBrush, this is what you should see, or something similar. If I check my units, it's currently, my working units are set to centimeters. So this is maybe the reason this came in really tiny from ZBrush. but that's okay. All I'm gonna do is just grab my scale tool and scale this up so it's somewhat larger. And if you go into your channel box, you can see that I personally scaled this by this much. So maybe I'll type in 35 and we can kind of, you can kind of follow me the same scale. The other thing that I would like to do is now, I would like to reset this. I don't need it to stay at 35, so I'm going to click on this button here to freeze the transformations. So my new scale of this is scale 1, and that might be important for rigging. Let's go ahead and press space bar, and I'm going to press A, and you can do Shift A if you wanted to see, have them all zoom out. And what I'd like to do is just put him on the floor. So there's the floor line right here for me. So it looks like he's standing on top of the surface. All right, I'm gonna press spacebar to go into my perspective view, and let's take a look. So this is what we get from zBrush. Now, one thing that I could tell you right now is that he is a little bit dense. If you wanna throw him into a game engine, it looks like maybe it's a little too dense. So he's currently 51,000 tries as is, right? We didn't do anything. We just grabbed him from zBrush. So here in Maya, I'm going to click on this button here called Reduce. And once I do, you can see that the percentage by which it reduced is 50%. And now if I look at my faces and my tries, really tries, because he's mostly built out of triangles, it's 25,000 instead of 50,000. And I think it's going to be a little better for us for animation. So I'm going to leave it at that. And next, what I would like to do is let's go ahead and clear our history. And we changed the translation value when we moved him up. So let's go ahead and freeze those once again. And if I go into my outliner, I can see that when I brought it out of zBrush, this is the name it gave me. So let's go ahead and give him a custom name, call him Mr. Skeleton. Very cool. If we wanted to just for fun, because he's just all bones, I'm assuming they didn't give us UVs for this from zBrush, but we don't really need UVs because I'm not really interested in painting him. Just for the sake of visual, let's go ahead and assign a material. I'm going to give him a foam material, and we can name it, if we wanted to, skeleton M for material. And let's choose a color. So maybe kind of a yellowish bone kind of material. So something like that. Right? I think that's cool. What else can we do? Maybe we can soften the edges. In modeling, we could do mesh display. And let's go ahead and unlock normals that didn't do anything. Let's go ahead and just do soft edges, or do soft and hard edges. If you review your settings, mine is set to 30. I'm going to do soft and hard and see what that does. And it's nice because it kept some of the areas sharp and softened the others. Now, one thing I do see that it created some imperfections. Some of the geometry is actually going through each other. But for the sake, I'm not really too concerned about this. If you do want to touch this up on your end, that's very simple. Just grab kind of, now keep in mind I do have symmetry turned on up here. So you can see whatever I do, it's selecting it, seemingly trying to on both sides. And you know what, I'm going to turn mine off just so it's not confusing. But let's say I want to fix this issue right there. I'm just going to grab this top guy, and in my soft select, I'm currently set to surface. Maybe let's dial this down a little bit and just pull this out. So you can see you can quickly spend a moment and clean this up if necessary. So maybe I could do the same thing here. Pull this forward, and you can see how it's penetrating. And so because it's such it's low poly, it's trying to do its best. And you do see some hard and soft edges, so maybe soft is all we want actually. So that looks even better. So you just have to figure out what works for you, but I think this is looking pretty nice. All right. So once we did this, we assigned a material to him. We did the scale. And next, let's go ahead and rig him up real quick. And to do this, I'm going to take the easiest way out. I'm going to do the quick rig here in Maya, because the downside of doing quick rig is you can't rig fingers, but the upside is it takes literally seconds, right? So for my animation, I'm not interested in animating his fingers. I just want to do something really quick and fun. And for dancing, obviously, I'm not going to spend hours on creating a custom dance in here in Maya. Let's just grab a Mixamo dance from Adobe, and that will work for us. But before we do need to add a rig to this model, right? So let's take a look. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is go to rigging. And I'm gonna go to skeleton and just do a quick rig. Let's do a quick rig and let's try auto rig first. That doesn't always work. And it's yelling at me because the model is kind of, it's just all over the place. It's not coherent. I don't think Maya is liking this model for quick rig, which is fine. I'm going to do step by step instead. So what I'd like to do is press plus to start a new project, a new document, quick rig document. And then you want to select your model and add it to the geometry list, just like that. For the guides, the embed method is definitely going to be imperfect because you have holes and the bones just, I think, are going to freak Maya out. So it's definitely imperfect. And for resolution, I'm not really looking for anything high. I'm going to do 128. And next, let's go ahead and just do a create. I'm going to click create. All right, very nice. So once that works, you can see that Maya placed different guides of where it thinks the joints need to go. That's definitely not where I would put my guides. So let's go ahead and adjust these real quick. The best way to adjust it is probably going to the front view. And let's take a close look. In my case, I think that the left hand, if you click on the joint, you can see what it is. So the left hand is not by the elbow for sure. I want my left hand to be here. And I want the other side to match. So I'm going to click on this button here to match my hand. Let's go ahead and click on this. This is the left forearm. So the left forearm would probably be this. Okay. And this is the left arm. This is going to be the head. So I want the head to probably be somewhere up here in the middle of the skull. And I don't need to flip it because there's just one joint. This is the neck, and I put it on my end, I put it in the chest. I want my neck to be somewhere here. And what are these? This is the shoulders. The shoulders are here. And let's go ahead and flip it over as well. And this is spine. So I'm gonna distribute my spine a little better. This is spine as well. And this is the hips. My hips are probably going to be here. This is the left up leg, so I'm going to put that here and mirror it. For my left leg, I'm going to put this where the knee is and flip it over. And for the left foot, I'm going to put it right where the ankle is and flip it over as well. All right, so that is looking good from the front. Let's go ahead and jump into, we can go into the side view, or we can probably adjust it in here as well. So let's take a look. The ankle looks pretty good. The knee seems to be in a good position. My left hand is not in good position, so I'm gonna actually move it in place and flip it over. The elbow is good. And let's check this out. This is the left arm or the shoulder. I need to move mine forward. And I'm probably going to move the shoulder forward as well. And this is my neck. So my neck is here. There's only one neck. I don't need to flip it. And I'm going to put the head joint in the middle of the skull. All right, so now once you're done placing your joints, or your guides, these are just your guides, right? These are not, the joints will be using the guides to create the skeleton. But for now, we're just told Maya the flow of the joints that we want. All right, which takes us, we did the mirroring. The next step is definitely step 4. Now for the step 4, we can, take a look at this. We can, create the I'm not going to touch step 4. I'm just going to say create. And what that did is it was looking at our guides and it put in the joins for us. So essentially building a custom skeleton. Now, one thing that you could see, there's no fingers, but that's okay. So we just created automatically a custom skeleton, custom joined skeleton for our character, and all the controllers are built in as well. So this is a nice thing about the auto rig, that it does that for you. Now the last step is skinning, and that's probably one of the most important steps to make sure that the character properly deforms, right, when you bend the joints. So let's go ahead and go to settings on this, and I'm going to reset mine to make sure I match yours. And for this to work well, I think the bind method should definitely be geodesic, because we have so many pieces and parts that are separate, all these separate bones. I'm going to set this to geodesic, and I'm going to also change the weight distribution from distance to neighbors, because again, I feel like these are pieces kind of robotic, you know, they're not really organic pieces. And I want to change the max influence to a lot lower, like 3. So if I'm bending this, I don't really want anything up here to bend. So that's why the influence is lower and tighter. It's going to be tighter to the area of deformation. And the resolution, I'm going to leave it as is, and let's just do apply and close. And essentially when I did apply and close, I created this. We click this because it's the same button, right? Because that's the skinning method. So we don't need to actually click this. And let's go ahead and just close this. All right, so here we are. Next is, let's go ahead and test this. I'm gonna, if you don't want to select your skeleton, you could press that to uncheck your mesh, so you can no longer select it. Now if I grab this controller and try to move it, you can see how that's actually bending. And because our legs are in, we could take these guys and try to pull them out. because our legs are kind of bent in, this is the rig is doing the same thing. But again, we can control this, so that's okay. So grab this again, just check this out. Very cool. Let's go ahead and put this back actually. I'm just doing Control Z. I'm going to test the head. If I rotate the head, it's pretty good. It's grabbing the chest, which we can actually remove from the head joint or the connection. This could use some work as well, but overall it did a nice job to do like a quick automatic rig. Well, before we adjust anything, even if we wanted to, let's go ahead and bring in a fun animation to see this guy dance. So I'm going to jump into Mixamo. Here I am in Mixamo, and I'm just going to type in something like dance, and let's see what makes what would be funny for our skeleton to perform. Maybe how about this Macarena dance? Alright, so for the sake of our exercise, let's see if our guy can do this. So all I'm going to do is just say, I'm going to leave all these alone. And if you wanted to, you can change, obviously, the speed. Maybe you need it a little faster. Maybe you want to adjust the spacing of the arms. I'm going to set mine to like 58 and go to download. And for the download, all I need is the FBX file. 30 frames per second is fine. I don't need the skin, so I'm going to say without skin. I don't need this robot character, and I'm just going to say download. Alright, very nice. Let's jump back into Maya. Alright, and in Maya I need to go to File, Import, and import the FBX file that I just grabbed. When you say, once you select it and press import, you can see that Maya is importing it here in the bottom left corner. It's initializing. And keep an eye on your outliner. You can see when it comes in, it's going to come in as a Mixamo animation. And you can see that the animation that we brought in has 170 frames because of these red lines. So if we wanted to, at 170, let's go ahead and change our timeline to 170. Very cool. Now what we need to do is we need to define our T-pose for the Mixamo skeleton. So while it's selected, I'm going to press isolate, so I can just look at the skeleton that I just brought in. And for me to match this guy to our guy, they need to be initially positioned in the same exact pose. Now keep in mind, one of the problems that we did, actually now I'm thinking about it, is when we brought in our skeleton, our arms should have been in T-pose for that character to work with our animation. So because it wasn't, that also means that this rig that we got from Mixamo needs to be in A pose as well, where the arms are down. Otherwise they will not match, right? So let's go ahead and do something like this. I'm gonna type -1 here, and that gives me like a secret keyframe. I'm gonna go to this keyframe, and while this is selected, I'm gonna right click and do select hierarchy, and you can see the whole skeleton turns white. Now if I press S on my keyboard, you can see a new keyframe was created on -1. And now while this is white, I can go into my channel box and on rotation, press 0 and press enter. And this is going to put the Mixamo character into a T-pose. Let's go ahead and go to our Human IK tab here. So make sure you click on this button and you want to go to none. And what you want to do is you want to create a definition for this skeleton. So I'm going to define it by creating a character definition. All right, then I'm going to double click on the hip and double click on the hip on the Mixamo character, and you can see that this turned green. So Maya is telling you, okay, I see this hip and I understand what that is. Next, I'm going to click open. You should see something like this. It says Human IK, and I'm just going to do OK. And Maya automatically scanned the whole structure and mapped or defined each bone in the proper position. All right, now since we did this, we can tell, let's go ahead and jump out of the isolate mode. Now we can tell our skeleton, which is character, quick rig character 1, we can tell it to follow Mixamo, which is character 1. Now we could have named these better, but character 1 was the Mixamo one. I just noticed. All right, so here it is. You can see that they are now linked, and if I press play, my skeleton is going to start dancing just like the Mixamo character. Now there is some issues with the arms. So to fix the arms, what I need to do is, I think I made a mistake. The definition for the Mixamo character does need to be in T-pose. So I think I made a mistake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to -1. And let's do this real quick. I'm going to select the hierarchy. So again, it turns white. And again, keep in mind on the first keyframe, and I'm going to reset this again, but this time I'm not going to lower the arms. I'm just going to keep it in T-pose. And what I want to do is, let's go ahead and go to our character 1 in the Human IK widget here. And the definition, when it's T-pose, you can see it's all green, right? I'm actually going to leave it in T-pose. I'm going to lock this. I'm going to lock the definitions. Okay, so once I lock it, you can see that it's also put my skeleton in the same position, right? And I believe if we press play now, it should fix the arms. Yeah, it does fix the arms. So I'm going to leave this in as a mistake because clearly you will make some mistakes, and it's important to understand how to correct it. So I did need to make sure that Mixamo is reset to T-pose when you're defining it. That's really important. Let's go ahead and hide the join so we can appreciate our hard work. Now you can render this or do a play blast and have fun. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.